Well, folks, you may be saying to yourself, now why is Marilyn standing in front of that old building in downtown Scottdale? Well, stick with me and I'll tell you why. Hi, welcome to Around the Town with Marilyn Forbes. Scottdale is turning 150 this year, and they have a lot of cool things planned. But something that came up that they really weren't expecting. When they got into the archives and the basement of the old bank, they found a lot of cool local memorabilia that they are willing to share with you, the community. And we're going to actually get a little bit of a glimpse of some of the items that they found. And there's actually some things that are interactive that you can enjoy as well. So please, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Well, folks, as promised, I'm welcoming back Tom, who is going to be with us on the show today. And he actually is wearing another hat as the co-chairman of the 150th anniversary celebration here in Scottdale. Tom, thank you. Thank you for being a part of the show.
Well, thank you for the partnership and getting the word out to the public and everything. We appreciate it very much.
Now, what Tom and I are going to be doing today, we're going to be joined by some members of the Kiefer family who were gracious enough to let us come here and enjoy their wonderful historic building. So tell us about this a little bit.
Okay, well, this is the Scottdale Savings and Trust building. It was constructed in 1901. There's some photos. We'll see a little bit how it originally looked. The bank was remodeled in 1930, and basically the main reason for the interior remodel was to give jobs because so many people were out of work during the Depression. So what I find phenomenal is like when you look at the stenciling around the wall and the ceiling and the coffered designs, even like when you look at the teller stations here and the balcony, faux balcony areas, the light fixtures, the shades inside all these window areas. You know, this is truly original to the time period. And it's amazing to me how intact the building is.
It's a gem. Even the floor.
I was just going to say the same thing. These floors, you know, they have that arts and crafts design, you know, which was so popular in 1930. And besides the stenciling, these floors are just incredible.
Now, Tom and I were actually going to take a little bit of a tour through here and talk about some things, but I wanted to point out that there's going to be some different displays that are going to be located in here throughout the year, and you folks just have to check out the website to see times and dates and places, and
Absolutely.
You can enjoy them as well.
Right. And some of the displays will be maintained, and a few will be changed out for the event or the season, what we have going on at that time.
Okay, so I want to walk around a little bit here and see what we got. Okay, now as you pointed out, I think this is crazy.
A sign of the times.
These are ashtrays.
Yeah.
Is this not like, let's just make a deposit and have a smoke? But as you said, though, sign of the times.
Right.
That's the way things were. And apparently, looks like there
were 4 teller stations, and definitely 2 of them still have the ash. Maybe that was the non-smoking section over there. We don't know for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. And we have some of the original.
Okay, now this is one of the light fixtures that was on the table, and of course you would have the pen and ink here, and this would be to fill out for your deposit slips. And if you even look at the sign, please make out your own deposit slips, thank you. And so, you know, this is just, again, just so many things that are maintained here originally from the bank whenever it was first built.
And a lot of this looks like some of the bank stamps.
Right. If you look at a lot of the archives in the display case, and if you take notice to this image, there's a large one on the wall as well. Like I said, the bank was built in 1901. It shows the interior of the bank. It was a more narrow area. But what I find fascinating is if you look closely at the typewriter, here it is. If you look at the spittoon on the floor, it's still here. Even the stool off to the left of the display case is there. Chuck King, who you'll get to meet a little bit later, he was one of the tellers here, and that was his stool. So when the bank closed, he was given the stool, and he graciously donated it back to the Kiefer family for the archives.
And these gentlemen here, these are all past presidents, correct?
These are all the presidents during the bank's tenure, from Ruth to Ray Kiefer. There were different of the Keister family members involved as other famous names in town, Fretz, etc. And, you know, whenever you look at, there's drawings here from the remodel. We have for the facade, some of the interior details. And of course, there is the picture. The bank looks pretty much the way it does today, except for the balcony area,
right here.
That little balcony area there. Other than that, and of course the awning, you know, that's how the bank still looks. It's maintained its original design.
And the top floor was a ballroom of sorts?
Top floor was a ballroom. Second floor were offices.
That's what I thought.
And even the second floor floor with the offices, P.O. Peterson had his, in 1903, when you think of the handwriting, P.O. Peterson,
Okay.
round, round, ready, right, started in Scottdale, 1903.
Wow,
Yeah.
right here in this building.
So the business office was on the second floor, exactly.
And something really that just kind of quick and fun. This is real interesting here. You want to explain to us real quick what this is?
When you look at the top image here, whenever so much of the town was raised, they started tearing down the buildings around 1968 through 69, and they were to do a mall project. Companies like Fisher Big Wheel, Foodland, and so forth had all committed to bring into the mall. And unfortunately, due to the economy at the time, the mall never did progress, and we ended up with basically a 4-block area where everything was just an empty field. In time, they did decide to do the parklet. This model was downstairs in the basement. This was the original design for the parklet, which is right across the street with the fountain. And as time progressed, the fountain did give way to the gazebo for the center of all the activities in town today.
See, there's you and I sitting right there.
There you go.
So you found this in the basement?
Yeah, it was downstairs.
Oh, my
Yeah, so
heavens.
this was the original architectural model, was designed for the parklet.
Okay, well, we're going to check out some of the other displays. The entire first floor of the bank has all kinds of different fun things to check out, so stay with us and we're going to see what we can discover here at the bank.
There you go.
We're going to go back here a little bit behind the scenes.
There you go.
To see what we have. Now, I was going to say everybody knows about the baseball team here, but I don't think everybody knows
Well,
about
maybe
the
they
baseball
do
team
not.
here.
Matt Miller is on the 150th committee, and for those who've seen some of your shows or read any of his books that are available at the library, Matt Miller is definitely an authority on local history of baseball in Scottdale. One of the more notable things were the fact that the Cardinals, the St. Louis Cardinals, did have a farm league, and they were the Scottdale Young Cardinals. And so a lot of the information on the wall and things that we have here, this shows one of the more popular ball players, Joseph Medwick at the time, as well as others. And the Historical Society, with setting everything up for the Fall Festival for the 150th, really benefited in the fact that Jim Hyde, another local historian, he donated his private collection
This
with
is
the
his here.
display board there. And there's more information on the Cardinals. It's also called the Scottdale Baseball Club. And whenever you even look at the bat and everything was all part of his collection, which he so graciously donated to the Historical Society. And like I said, there's great information here, newspaper articles, photos, and even a roster on the side, the various Cardinal players, and then the teams that they moved on to.
Oh, okay. Oh, awesome. So kind of a follow-up then of
Sure.
where they were,
Yeah.
or where they went to, I guess I should say.
And then there were quite a few baseball fields in town. Actually, there were 3 for sure. Everybody thinks of Laux Park, but Athletic Field, which is out by the borough office today, that was a large field there, and that is where the professional teams would play. There was another major baseball league out in what they call Fourth Ward off of 3rd Avenue. That was Ellsworth Park. And then there was a huge baseball field over by the end of Dorloy as you go across into Kingview. And of course, you had smaller baseball fields, you know, with the parklets and so forth around town. Scottdale has a very rich baseball history.
Okay. Well, from baseball back to the bank. Now, behind us over here, we have some pretty cool vaults. Let's go check those out.
They're great, yes. I have to point out this incredible vault. When you look at all the details, look at all the mechanism, how the bolts would go through and shut the doors for the security.
Look how thick this is.
I know, and all the detail work, even with the engraving on the sides of the doors. And then when you look inside the actual vault itself, I mean, it still has all the signage, all the stenciling, the lettering. You have all the deposit boxes. You have all the ledgers inside with all the bank information. And even, like, say, you had the extra gate here that was still locked, and you everywhere you look, Scottdale Savings and Trust Company. But this is all a true interior vault from 1901. This is what the banks looked like in the day.
Now, they had 3, you said. 3 different vaults at Elvis.
There's 3 vaults
okay.
here, yes.
Were there certain things in each vault, or were they just all the same
Well, yes,
thing?
this would have been the money and so
Okay.
forth here. The second vault had all the ledgers and more information in it. And the third one had your security boxes as
Okay.
well. Watch your step. And I'd like to introduce you to Chuck King. Mayor King was an employee here at the bank. He worked in this building originally. Chuck, tell us a little bit about your history here.
Oh, goodness. Started in 1965. It was Scottdale Savings and Trust at the time. Then we changed our name to Scottdale Bank and Trust, and then eventually moved across the street and become Mid-Penn Bank. But during my tenure, one of the interesting things was we had a lockout where you can still see where we went through the wall.
Yeah, show us where you're talking about there.
We had a company come out of Pittsburgh and cut right here.
Oh, I see, right here.
7 days a week, 24 hours a day. They cut through, and the clock had stuck, and we couldn't open the vault. So a man by the name of Elwood Statsko from Scottdale Machine Foundry, he came over, and he finally got through after a week of trying to get in to release the clocks. But many, many years ago, a lot of history to this bank.
So how were things different here versus whenever you folks moved across the street?
Well, at the time, everything was hands-on.
Okay.
Everybody was a teller, and a teller did everything, loan payments, the whole works. We only had one rate back then, 6%, that was it. But technology has taken over and major changes, but we've come a long way with banking.
Well, we actually are lucky enough to see they transformed this second vault into something different. Do you want to tell us about that, gentlemen?
Absolutely. This building was the fallout shelter for town, and in the basement were the cots, the 5-gallon containers of water, crackers, biscuits. If you look, there's even portable sanitation kit there. The tissue paper, still in the original wrappings. So when you look at all these food items and everything that are on display, this is all from downstairs from the fallout shelter.
believe you still have it.
A sign
That's
like
crazy.
this was on the outside of the door, and in case it would have ever been needed, they were able to sustain the community downstairs.
Neat.
It's incredible that all this has been maintained all these years. Different members of the Scottdale 150th and Historical Society, they're all trying to think of some type of event. Maybe they can open up a package of crackers and see what they taste like. I, for one, do not want to try.
I can't believe you said that because I literally was just thinking, what are one of those crackers that taste like now? Might be like a hardtack. Hey, our ancestors lived off hardtack in the Civil War.
And then there's a little video and everything playing from the day and so forth when they were promoting the civil
great.
defense
That
and
is
everything.
awesome.
The TV is the late 1940s. There's a flat screen TV put in with the film going. I have some vague memories of the duck and cover where in grade school you had to crawl into the desk and cover your head. Kind of like what's shown on the plaque, but
would really not do
I was a
much
little
good.
bit too young to really take it seriously to know surely what it meant.
Okay, well, you know what? I think we're going to move on and we're going to talk to a couple members of the Kiefer family who are going to give us a little bit of history, talk about their relatives. But before we do that, I really want to thank Chuck King. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining
Thanks,
us. It
Chuck.
was nice to see you again, and
Good night.
thanks again, Chuck.
Thank you.
We're lucky to have members of the Kiefer family here today.
Oh, okay, wonderful. All right. Thank you, folks, for being here. We have Don, Larry, and Lynn. And they are all Kiefer. They're the Kiefer kids. And I understand that you two are going to talk to us a little bit about the history and everything. Okay, Larry, I'm going to start with you. Okay, we are in what was to be your father's office later on. But we have some lovely portraits and stuff here. If you want to tell us about some of these folks up here.
Sure. First is my grandfather,
Okay.
Donald
Over
Keister.
here in the corner. Okay.
He was my mother's father,
Okay.
and he was president of the bank up until 1964.
Oh, okay.
And then that's when he passed away, and then my father became president after that in 1964 to 1984. And then my brother Don was president after that.
Okay. All right. Now this is a lovely room. I'm not sure how much you're going to be able to catch there, but everything from the floor to the fireplace,
is still
and
working.
this desk is absolutely lovely. But now, Lynn, if you want to tell us a little bit about this, is a very nice, almost like an homage to your parents here. You want to tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here?
Certainly. Our father's name was Ray E. Kiefer, and he graduated from Scottdale, and then went on to get his bachelor's degree at Penn State. At the time he was a senior, Pearl Harbor happened.
Oh.
So he immediately was given his diploma and went into the service to fight as a airplane pilot. And he flew B-17s over in North Africa. There's some of his uniforms here. He was part of the Thunderbirds. And he came back, after flying 50 missions on his plane, the Coffin, he came back to the States and taught and instructed on B-29s.
Oh, okay.
We have a book over there on that. He kept even everything that happened over in North Africa. But the thing with the Coffin was it had a prayer under its wing that prayed for the people, that crew. It came in a lot of times without its landing gear down, but it always came back.
And you were saying the coffin.
Coffin.
Like
It choked the whole way across.
That's funny. And I had commented earlier before we started filming, this is such an impressive display you folks have here. My goodness.
Try thinking of sitting in North Africa in an airplane without air conditioning in that flight suit. That thing is extremely heavy and just full of wool and leather.
Can you imagine how that would just weigh you down under any circumstances?
Exactly.
But like you said, when you're hot, I bet he lost a lot of weight during the war.
He was young.
just sweating it off.
He was young.
And there's also too, also in the far corner here, there is part of his collections.
Right. Those are
some of
bank
those as well?
collections. Being a banker, he thought he should go ahead and collect banks. After he graduated from college, after he was in the service, he came back and got his MBA from Pitt. So
Okay.
he was always at school locally in Pennsylvania.
Now, your mom, too, she was not one to let any grass
No.
grow underneath her feet.
No.
She was
Her name was
very, very well
Marilyn.
named. Yeah, how did she get the name Tottie?
Because her grandfather said that when she was born, what a sweet little tot.
Oh,
And
I've
from
always
then
meant
he
to ask
called
you
her
that. Okay.
Tottie.
Her name was Marilyn.
Yes, but her real name, she was always referred to as Tottie. In fact, I think she'd rather be known as Tottie. She played the organ as a volunteer until they could find somebody at the Presbyterian Church, and 35 years later, she was still playing the organ at the Presbyterian Church. She loved the town, and she loved volunteering, and she seemed to be able to talk anybody into helping her do all sorts. She started the garden club. She was very instrumental in starting the theater. She started bell choirs in our town. If there was a need, she tried to fulfill it, and she loved music.
Everybody seems to have a memory about her. I mean, I hear so much about her, even to this day, 20-some years later after she's passed. Yes. What a mark that your folks left on this community. Okay, well, we're going to be checking out some other things because there's a lot of things here to check out, so stay with us. Thanks, folks. Well, folks, we are down the hallway, the long hallway from the office, and we are here in another long hallway that has a lot of pictures. Tell us what we're looking at here, Tom.
Okay, well, you have a little over 250 images here, and these are a lot of reflections looking back on Scottdale. We have everything from some of the homes in Scottdale to the various businesses in town. That continues on through with the churches, street views, a lot of the industrial photographs as well. And this really has caused a lot of excitement with people wanting to come back through, the reason for extending open houses into the building and everything, because this has really been a great interest. We have a little brief, everything's numbered, we have descriptions of what they are, and like I say, it's just a lot of good hometown memories of Scottdale.
Tom actually was saying that this area created quite a bottleneck.
Yes, it did. Everybody really, like I say, they really were taking their time going through and enjoying it. As a matter of fact, we had so many requests. People want us to do a booklet or a publication on this. So thankfully, we have these all on a flash drive, and our goals are to have images of the bank and a lot of these photos, plus a few more added, and put together a booklet as a fundraiser.
And there's a local show called Around the Town with Marilyn Forbes. I'll bet would love to have you do your book
There
on
you
it.
Well, that's incredible. Thank you for the continued partnership. You know, a lot of people, even like when you're looking at the schools here, you know, this is where the Chestnut Street Park is today. This is the school in Alverton. And even whenever it changed, there's a lot of people who saw the school that went there. They don't recognize that building because it had changed so much over the years. Again, a lot of the different clubs and so forth in town. Here's a lot of parades. We have parades from 1903, some from like say 1907 on the top, 1976 for, I'm sorry, 1974 from Scottdale's 100th. And even like say the last board, if you take notice to it, it's from 1949 when Scottdale celebrated their 75th anniversary. And, you know, there were major floats and everything. And it was basically a big 3-day weekend celebrating everything at that time.
No, see, something like this I think is so cool because somebody that's in these pictures could bring their grandchildren out and say, look, you
Absolutely.
know, there's grandma or there's granddad. And,
Well,
and it's
actually,
so
there's
cool.
one person we know right there. There's Tinky
Tinky
Nist.
Nist. I didn't have my glasses on. I knew Tinky was here somewhere. Is this her
Exactly.
here?
Yes,
Okay.
it is. Yes. She was in grade school at the time in 1949. So.
I always told her I love her name, and if I ever write a book, there's going to be a
There you
character in
go,
it called
yeah.
Tinky Nist. Okay, and then behind us here too, we have something is super cool.
Yeah, there are the 3 booths, Marilyn. If you want to take a look
Sure.
inside, through that little window opening, you would hand your key. The teller would then go open up the box, which would be in the 3rd vault. They would bring you your security deposit box, and then you would work with all
close
your
the door
money
up
and all
here
your jewels and all
jewels.
your treasures,
look at this.
and you could look everything up. And of course, now when you shut
Lunch
the
is on me.
there you go. And then also, whenever if you shut the door, the light automatically comes on.
Really?
Yeah, so you
Okay.
could see things. You had proper lighting and all. But you know, again, there were the 3 booths here, and it gave you the privacy what you needed.
Okay. Oh, this is so cool. And as we keep pointing out, I think it's just amazing how it's almost like it's just frozen in time.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, we have a interactive display we want to check out next and have some fun with some of the old machinery and gadgets that were located here
Let's
throughout
go.
the years.
All right.
Well, folks, I've been looking forward to this part of the show because, as everybody knows, I like to touch things. And they actually set this whole display up here. It's interactive. You are
Absolutely.
inviting people to touch things.
Sure, and things like, you know, for example, a rotary phone. You know, people in their 40s really don't know what a rotary dial telephone was or how to use it. What's comical is people put their finger in the hole and push and expect it to make they don't
Really?
understand the whole
Oh,
rotary
my
mechanism.
Lord.
And it was a lot of fun with the kids and everything with the typewriter. You
typewriter.
had to
This is
explain
amazing.
you had to explain the keyboard and the paper and the carrier, and you know, you just kind of explain, well, this is your computer.
This is exactly-
Instead of a printer, you had the carrier with the paper and how to feed it through.
Oh, wow. And a lot of these items, you found them in the basement?
These have all been here. Well, they were all within the bank itself. Many of the ledgers are here with all the handwritten information for the bank's business. There's even one from the very beginning from 1901 showed the original investors
Really?
and people involved in the banking. And probably the most fun for children and adults happens to be the next item. And if you turn this crank counterclockwise,
Oh,
it's a coin separator, and when you look, when you dump all the change in, it divides it into dimes, pennies, nickels, and quarters.
look at that.
And you cannot believe, you know, every time we have like an open house or tour, that's all you hear the whole time is the change clinging through, you know. Now you can dump more in, change in, and just, you know, it continues through and just separates it out.
My
Yep.
Christmas can of cash.
Can of cash, that's right.
Is this your Christmas savings for kids? Is that-
Yeah, but that's all I have, so we got to be careful with it.
My gift is going to be small, is that what you're saying?
Tiny, sorry, okay. Now, this is really fun. Now, this is a change maker for the coins. So, for example, you pick an amount. So, like, say, for example, you want 67 cents. Press
Okay.
the 67. Okay, now this lever slides back, and there, it gave you your money.
Oh,
It counts it
wow.
out for you, so you have exactly the amount that you need. And then you can also change it if you want to have like a certain amount with the blue keys.
Oh,
You know,
my
if you want
gosh.
things like in nickels or pennies or whatever it might happen to be. And, you know, it's really amazing how, you know, when you think of this equipment from back at the turn of the century, how well done it was. And
Yeah,
it still
I've
functions
never,
and works.
I've never seen anything like this.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. We have another coin
Okay, now this,
counter.
okay, this is also a counter, and you have to clear the amount here.
Okay.
But like, for example, you would put the paper rolls in here. So if you had
Oh.
pennies, once you did your separator, and then
see.
you would follow this, it would give you your count. So you would have your dollars, quarters, nickels, dimes. You would put the paper sleeve in, hold it down here,
Oh.
and then you turn the crank till you got the proper amount to fill up that roll, and then you would take the tube away, fold the ends of the paper sleeve, they would have your rolled coins in it.
It's a lot easier than putting little stacks on the table.
And counting, exactly, it did it for you. You know, this is a hole punch here, and then these are different of the embossers. So like whenever you would press, you know,
Oh, I
down on the
see.
paper,
Okay,
we have
yeah,
it
there's
here, and it
seals.
shows you the different seals, whatever.
See the
You
seals?
go ahead and try one out. Yeah.
Okay. I did want to point out, this stuff is all heavy. That ledger that we were looking at the beginning, Lynn said that they had to take those out every day. What, I think I did it too hard. No, there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, another fun thing I want to point out is I did not know this until today, but back in the day, every bank teller had their own gun.
Yes, they did.
You want to tell us about
Sure.
that?
We have the case here. If you notice the 4 small little revolvers, there were the 4 teller stations here across the counter area. And each teller had one of the revolvers at their station. And these are the actual revolvers here for the bank. These are just not something we put in for display. These have been here, you know, and with the Kiefer family. The last revolver on the end here was used by the bank guard, Mr. Grigsby. Ed Grigsby started out doing maintenance in the building and did become the guard for the bank. And anytime you talk about this building and people in town, they remember Grigsby very well and very fond memories of him and his time here at the bank.
Now, before we let you go, we have one more cool interactive thing that we want you to check out. And this was actually something that the community was involved in, and it was a cool concept. Dawn, would you like to step up and tell us what we're looking at here?
Well, these are old metal banks that the bank used to give out many years ago. But they never gave the keys out to the individuals. They always kept the keys here at the bank. So you had to bring these coin banks back in to have them opened. So at this last, at the Fall Festival, a lady came in with a bank just like this, and she said they'd been in her family for many years, and they didn't know what was inside and wondered if I had a key for it.
And-
I've been waiting for this day forever.
Kathy Buttermore was her maiden name, later Kathy Ansel, and she was really thrilled that you were able to open the banks for her. And I think like all the coins were like from 1964, 65.
Oh, so she
There
did have
was-
she
yeah,
did
there
have
was
something
coins
in
there.
there?
It was
Oh,
really a lot
okay.
of fun.
All right.
Yeah.
Wheat pennies and
Oh, wow.
So I went back to my desk and I found some keys,
Oh, my.
and we just happened to find one that opened her bank.
How fun. Okay, remember, folks, so if you have one of these, Dawn is here with the keys.
Well, and then Don's very gracious. He did offer to meet with people here. So if you want to reach out to the ScottdaleHistoricalSociety.com or Scottdale150th.com, we have our contact information, and we will send your information to Don, and he'll reach out to you to set up a time to come in with your bank, or on December 2nd for start the season, bring it in. We will have an open house then.
Okay, wonderful. All right, well, thank you, gentlemen. This has been wonderful. Thank you for sharing your family and your history with us. It's a pleasure as always, Tom. This gentleman is just a wealth of information. And I think even you guys just having a glimpse of what is part of this display here, a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of research, and a lot of sweat and tears must have went into this, but it's very impressive. You are quite welcome. Okay, well, folks, again, we hope you enjoyed the show. And remember, Keep smiling, keep dreaming, and keep watching.